Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is another WDCE Loud Rock interview series. I am here with Manuel Gagneux of Zeal and Ardor. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing excellent. Hope you're doing the same.
I am more than excellent. So let's just talk about Zeal and Ardor for a second. I mean, like, not even just the band, but the record. How do you feel it's been received? How's it doing compared to like Stranger Fruit and Devil Is Fine?
It's kind of outperformed those in a lot of ways, and I think what speaks volumes to me is like it's not been universally like loved. It's a kind of love it or hate it type thing, which for me is a very good sign because I did something with integrity there. I think.
For sure. Um,
Yeah,
I would say that every release has probably been the same though. Like you probably got detractors for Stranger Fruit that swear by Devil is Fine, or maybe people came in at Stranger Fruit, didn't dig the first stuff, like so.
yeah, it's been like that. Now we're at the point where people like I can go like I like the old stuff more, which is just hilarious to me because I used to be that guy, and now now I'm the ass,
What
the
band
butt of the
would you
joke.
say you are the most elitist about their old stuff?
I mean, that's the thing. Like growing up and growing older, you kind of dig the new stuff as well,
Mm,
as it also becomes the old stuff, and it's just about not being into change, I guess.
mm.
Frankly,
There
yeah.
you
Do
go.
you have any opinions on that, or
No,
like a record?
I for sure. Oh, in terms of the record, I am just a Zeal and Ardor fan. Like I started listening like at Devil is Fine. I'd never heard of Bird Mask, but when Devil is Fine dropped, I was hooked and I
Oh,
spun that thing without end when I took a vacation to the West Coast, and from there just kept listening to it. Was stoked for Stranger Fruit, stoked for Live in London, stoked for the self-titled. Like I love all of it. I'm
oh,
here for it.
cool.
Um,
So, no, like old stuff, elitism, or do you have any bands where you're like, I really like the old stuff?
Dream Theater.
Or okay, yeah,
For
okay,
Yeah, for me, hands down, it would be pretty much from where Mike Portnoy left. There is a distinctive divide in their musical
yeah.
catalog. And then like there's other bands though, like with you guys, a lot of people, Avenged Sevenfold, they're like very old elitist, only
Mhm.
City of Evil, Waking the Fallen. I'm like they've never put out a bad record except for Hail to the King, but like every record is good.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, But so, self-title's been received well. What non-musical works did you most partake of while writing the record? Like, if I wanted to sit down and kind of immerse myself in the self-titled and get closest to where the headspace of the band was at time of writing, what would I read or what would I watch?
I was reading, not to sound douchey, but James Joyce. I mean, not reading per se. I was looking at every word in the book, I
Mhm.
guess, because it's such a obtuse thing. And also like Warhammer 40K lore books, just really nerdy stuff
Are we
and
talking Horus
grimdark.
Heresy or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. I dig it. Okay, I'll go
Good.
back and reread like the Istvan 4 nonsense with a
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
cool. I like it. Uh, so when it comes to the writing process of Zeal and Ardor, are you guys going in there like with metal tracks and the non-metal aspects get layered on after? Do you have a non-metal idea in your head and put a riff under it, or like what kind of flow do you guys follow?
There's
And even
no
how collaborative is it really?
the writing I do all by myself, but
Okay.
there's no like one way to go about things. Sometimes I have like a vocal thing, or maybe yeah, like a riff that I like, and I treat it like Lego blocks, and you kind of um arrange them in a way that it isn't head hurting, and try to make a song of it, to varying degrees of success. I mean, like 10% of everything is good. The rest stays in the vault forever.
So
Yeah.
my experience with that would be like concert photography. Like I could take 300 photos during a set, but then it's like, all right, here's 10 good ones.
Yeah, yeah, it's about volume. And I think the songwriting process has been really romanticized, where you have the idea of someone just sitting down and having like this enlightened moment where the stars align and oh, here's the perfect song that I
A
just shout out
riffgasm, if
instantly.
you will.
A riffgasm, if you will. Yeah. I mean, that might happen with other people. With me, not so much. I gotta sift through the dirt to find the diamonds.
Is it that kind of
Yeah.
thing where like you've got two diamonds, you'll slam them together and see what happens? Like,
Yeah, you end up with coal, maybe, but you know, sometimes it's double diamonds. Who knows?
um, when it comes to like the lyrics of Zeal and Ardor, obviously, we've got the satanic themes, we've got our commentary on the current state of our world, but there's a lot of esoteric stuff, and like my question kind of points more at the stuff like I caught you. You've got Odak Dara, Arad Kato. Like, is that from a language or is it just intended to be kind of like a rhythmic mantra? Like, where's your head at when you're putting in stuff like that in a song?
Those are phrases from the Book of Abramelin, which is like an old grimoire from the 1700s. No, it's even older, like 1500s. Those are basically like word squares. When you type them out, you can read them in every direction. And every one of these words has like a purpose. And Odaktara Aradkado is to fly, basically. The whole book, I don't know if you know Aleister Crowley, is actually like one big ritual, which takes a half a year to prepare and a half a year to execute. So he's failed miserably at that. And he says like he unleashed some sort of demon that was in his head from that point on. He
Nice.
also was full of shit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very, very, very fair. Um, so would you say there are like are there lines you wrote on Devil is Fine or Stranger Fruit that you didn't relate to or that you did that you no longer like? Are there songs that you would consider your babies and are there songs that you've fallen out of love with?
Not really. I think they're definitely like a kind of a photograph of a time, but since it's all kind of in this semi realm of fiction, there's not an absolute relationship to it. It's not like, okay, this was me at that time, how I felt, or that was what I was going through. It's very much rooted in this alternate history or whatever, and it kind of, as long as it has a place there, I'm quite happy with it. So I'm not disinheriting any of my babies anytime
Okay.
soon.
When it comes to other children of yours, like Birdmask, would you say that you're at a point with the musical career where, like, because Zeal and Ardor is so diverse, you can release all of your music under the umbrella of Zeal and Ardor, or do you think that in the future there could be more Birdmask?
I do think there could be more bird mask because as diverse as Zealand Ardor is, I think I can't get away with quite everything. I don't think I could do like a smooth jazz album. I mean, I might just as a piss take, but it's yeah. I mean, there's still elements that I don't quite fit under that umbrella for whichever reason. So whenever I get frustrated with Zealand Ardor, I just write other stuff. So as long as I don't get frustrated, because if I don't have fun writing the song, no one will have fun listening to it. So it has to have this, I guess, levity to it. Yeah. So there might be some things coming out. Who knows?
Hey, cool beans. That was asked by one of my buddies. I can't remember his name off the top of my head because it's too early.
Mhm.
Um, uh, when it comes to how much you personally relate to your music, like, so we have bands on one side of the spectrum, like Watain, where these guys are on stage and they're basically performing their rituals. Like, they are all out
Mhm.
Kabbalistic, theistic Satanists of a degree. Then I feel like on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I would say Behemoth, like it's more the art for the art's sake. I don't necessarily think that Nergal or them are like, devout to anything in any way. So like, where would you say you fall on that? How much do are Zero and Ardor's lyrics informed by your own personal beliefs?
Very much so. I mean, as much as it is in this realm of fiction, it is stuff that I do believe in, or that I can adhere to a certain degree. It's not 100% me, because there's embellishments and stylistic decisions that don't really reflect on my life. But I'm very much in that mindset. I mean, I'm not a theistic Satanist, but I'm a philosophical Satanist, I guess. And yeah, that's where I stand.
Yeah, so like, and that would make sense because like in what track is it? I think it's Don't You Dare. You've got the quote from Anton LaVey, so that would kind of fit in line with that belief
Exactly.
system.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to um, your musical practices, if you and like obviously you read all the time. You've got a lot of books under your belt. If you could write the score to any one book, what would it be?
um. Ooh, good question. I think Perdido Street Station by China Miéville is a really good one.
Okay.
It's like it was this phase called the New Weird, where it's like it's different settings of fantasy, and for better or worse, he kind of invented steampunk, which went off to be a terrible, terrible thing, but still.
We were playing D&D last night, and one of my characters made so it was like, I need goggles for this flight, and we were like, are we talking like Hot Topic, like spikes on the side, steampunk goggles? Like,
Oh no. Do you are you the game master
I
or?
am, yeah,
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice.
We've been this same group of dudes. We've been playing probably since we were like 12, so it's a whole lot of
Fuck, that
stories
sounds
under our
awesome.
belt.
Nice, nice.
um, what do you play D&D with the Zeal and Ardor gang?
I'm not with the Leonardo gang. I've been trying to get him into it. It's hard, like because after a gig, like everyone's either just slightly tipsy or just tired, and you can't go. Gang, okay, gather around this shitty table on the bus.
For sure.
Get your D12s out.
How
Yeah,
long
it's a
have
hard
you been
sell.
playing D&D?
Um, well, the German version, the Black Eye is what it's called. I've been playing since I was like 13, but then there was a little bit of a gap, and in in the Roner times in the pandemic, I wanted to get back into it, which is I didn't really get there,
Mhm.
but I'd love to play more.
Gotcha. Well, hey, if you ever want to join in on one of our sessions, like voice an NPC or something, you just hit me up. It'll be a good time.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Um, so when it comes to the state of the world, obviously you referenced like BC before COVID, like and
Yeah.
after COVID. So in my experience, particularly in the United States, I was wondering if I could get a scope on what it's like outside of the U.S., where here it definitely feels like the last 2 or 3 years have like ripped off a mask from people. They no longer feel like there are any repercussions for just saying or doing what they want.
Mhm.
And would you say that mentality is beyond the U.S. or contained to it?
It is beyond the US, but I think it was instigated by the US because as as frail as the America is right now, it still is like the soft power center of the world, and people kind of echo their sentiments. So you have your anti-vaxxers and anti-mask people here too, um, and especially in Eastern Europe, there's been unsettling shift towards Nazism, and the gloves come off slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see how now that the world is coming back to some form of normalcy, if that will stick, or if people go, oh shit, I can't do this in public anymore. So it's a interesting time to say the least.
Would you say there's something that, because there's a certain level of media bias, are there things that we as Americans are not seeing abroad that you would say are important that we know about?
Hard to say because I don't really know what you guys' media shows, but I think it's might be similar. It's hard to say. I think the Nazi thing is pretty fucking relevant, and yeah, especially in countries like Poland where 100,000 people just stormed the Capitol. That was like 3 years ago, and it was just Nazis, just good old Nazis.
Good
That's
old
insane.
fashioned neighborhood Nazi.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. Um,
Hmm.
well, I don't want to end on that sour of a note. What is your best memory of a live show for like the Devil is Fine or Stranger Fruit era? Like, what's the single best live venue you performed for?
Um, a lot of things come to mind, but I think a telling one was in at Roadburn. It's a very like niche festival. It's a really well curated one where um basically all the indie metal darlings play, and this is like our fifth gig ever, and we were scared shitless. Like there was Baroness playing and Oathbreaker, and we were just like, the fuck are we doing here? And like come our set time, we go on stage, we start playing Devil is Fine, and the PA just blows out. And like we were like deers in headlight and just scared shitless. And then the crowd starts singing our song, which is insane. It's like, we haven't been a band for more than 5 gigs, and here we are like calling and responding with a crowd.
Hmm.
And that kind of glued us together as a group. And yeah, we took that mentality and ran with it.
And so you say glue together as a group, which I don't think you guys have had that many lineup changes, but I do notice the absence of your bassist. So like, is there a story there? Is she all right? Like, is she still with the band?
She's technically still with the band, but she has chronic issues where she can't take enough energy in to sustain a normal day. So, I mean, now she's better than she was, but
Hmm.
to take her on tour would be just very reckless.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, once she gets better, she's back in, of course. But
Hmm.
until then, we're with Lukey. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Lukey does the recording for the time being.
The recording is also just done by me. I do everything but the drums.
Okay. And who does the
Yeah.
drums?
Marco, our stage drummer.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my body's just too dumb for all that shit. It's so much going on.
When
Yeah.
you so guitarist to guitarist, what kind of pick and technique are you employing when you're like there's not necessarily in Zeal and Ardor so much like single string tremolo, like no obscura trivium kind of stuff, but you guys have these like ferocious chords that you'll like tremolo pick during
Mhm.
God, I'm blanking on the last song of Stranger Fruit, but uh
Me too. Built on Ashes,
yes,
maybe.
built on
Yeah,
ashes. Like those opening just tremolo picked chords, like are we looking at any finger movement there, or is it just all wrist or forearm? Like, what's going on there?
it's all wrist actually. Yeah, just wrist. But it's not really chords. It's two octaved um melody lines played separately. So
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't. Yeah. So because if I were to do the chords, it'll get distorted and it like kind of sounds unclear. But that way the melody is still defined.
How often
Trickery.
would you say like there are little tricks like that incorporated into your recording so that like there's this crispness that the listener gets that we otherwise wouldn't be aware we're getting it because it's a trick you did?
I think I mean that particular one is quite frequent. Then there's stuff like just single lines that will be doubled or octaved in or just played with different pickups. But I don't think that's like very niche. I think everyone does that.
Hmm.
And I'm not a virtuosic player. I mean, that will be Tiziano who plays with us live. I'm a very simple player. You will never see me fucking rip a shredded guitar. Like, no, I just can't do that. So all I can do is like have interesting harmonies and have like that thickness.
For
So I
sure.
hide behind that. Hope for the best.
What was the first song you learned how to play on guitar?
I think it was The Trooper by Iron Maiden, because
Nice.
that's just a really nice lick. And I distinctly remember that was like the first vinyl I bought. Um, and I had that on like a maniac. My parents hated me for it, but
I was
yeah.
gonna say, so like your parents bought you your guitar and like encouraged your practicing. Did they want you to play like John Denver and shit, or?
No, that was a funny thing. Like I was being a teenager, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna show them. Like I'm gonna be so rebellious and like, yeah, this metal thing is gonna like be this statement, and they just supported it. And like, it was like the antithesis of what I hoped it would be. Like, yeah, fuck you, mom, fuck you, dad, and they're like, great, keep it
Yep,
up.
that's me and my mom. I 100% understand that. She's like, you open your gift on Christmas and it's your spiky wristband that you asked for, and she's like, as long
Yeah.
as it makes you happy, sweetheart. Like,
Yeah. That's so
um,
good.
well, It's been a good talk. Let's wind it down for our listeners. So, if you would say that there's one thing that everyone should take away from the self-titled Zeal and Ardor record, like what's the message they can carry with it or from it with them throughout their daily life?
As proud of it as I am, like I have a very distinct idea of what it means to me, but I learned throughout the years that people will definitely just get their own ideas from it. And they kind of fall in love with that idea of it's not mine anymore. As soon as it's out, it'll mean something completely different to every person. And that is just as as legitimate as my opinion of it. So I also kind of don't want to like skew people's views into a certain direction. If I go, no, actually it's about this, then it kind of deflates their whole idea of what it is. And I don't want to do that. So it's whatever you want it to be, sweetheart.
Thank you, Sunshine. I do actually have one question I just remembered. Speaking about
Sure.
people taking their own meaning from your music. So, tattoos. You guys had that gag back in the day where you had people get your logo tattooed on them, I believe.
Branded.
Branded. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to tattoos, like, do you have any, and where do you stand on getting tattoos for like bands or band artwork?
Um, I mean, while it is flattering when people do it, I would never do it myself because you don't know what these people are actually like. So say if I had in the Octavarium days gotten Dream Theater tattoo, and then something else happens with the band, I'm still stuck with the tattoo.
Like, you look on
And
John Petrucci's Instagram and see who he follows, and you're just like, oops.
oopsie, yeah, exactly. So I think it's a daring thing to do. It's basically just unrequited amount of trust that you just bring into this parasocial relationship, and I think that's kind of scary. I only
So,
have one tattoo of an inverted cross on my belly, and that's it. That's yeah.
really, is it detailed, or are we talking just like traditional straight black inverted
Straight
cross?
black little cross. Yeah.
Gotcha. So hypothetically, if I were planning a Zeal and Ardor piece, not for the band, but for an homage to what the music means to me, if we were
Mhm.
talking like an apple with the right hand up, left hand down on either side, do you think that'd be sick?
I think that would be very sick because it's your personal take on it and not my vision of it. It's not like my logo on your body, but it's
Yeah,
what you take,
for sure.
take away from it. So I think that would be very much legitimate.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Manuel, what do you have for our listeners? Like, what do they need to watch out for? I know you said, there's always the dream of more Bird Mask on the horizon, but for the time being, we have our brand new self-titled Zeal and Ardor. Where can we see you on the road?
Um, well, how can I put this? I'm not allowed to talk about what's going to happen later on this year.
Okay.
That implies that, something might come. So
We will keep our eyes peeled.
Mhm.
Thank you, Manuel, for joining us.
Thank you. This was really nice talk.
Absolutely. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, this has been WDCE 90.1 FM. You stay brutal.